if you're moving to Central OC, there's a good chance that you're thinking about two different cities, one being Lake Forest, the second being Irvine. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the exact pros and cons of both and which one you might want to land at depending on your scenario. But first, I am a realtor here in both cities, so if you are looking to buy, rent, or sell, make sure you reach out to me. All my information will be in the description below, but I'll also put my number right here. That way you can easily give me a quick text or call. But now, we'll get back into the video. Number one is schools or education. Now, if you're moving to these two cities, which are more of a suburban city life, good chance you probably got some kiddos. Now, if school is the absolute number one thing for you, Irvine is definitely going to nudge out Lake Forest just a little bit. Now, Lake Forest still has fantastic schools, but Irvine has some of the best in the entire state and nation. So if your children, or you want your children to, have some of the best education, you also have UCI, University of California, Irvine, which is a top 9 public ranked college in the entire nation. So if academics is the number one thing for you and everything else doesn't matter, Irvine notches out Lake Forest by a good amount. Number two is we'll go into safety and community. Now we'll talk about safety first. Irvine is consistently ranked as one of the safest cities in the entire nation. I believe it's number one for any city above 250,000 population. So Irvine is literally one of the safest cities in the nation. Lake Forest is also very safe. But again, Irvine is just going to notch it out a little bit. Now, both are like, you're going to be fine living there. There's nothing bad that goes on in either of those cities. They're both completely safe, but Irvine does notch it out just a little bit. And community-wise, I would say there's a little bit more to do in Irvine, especially with how they're building out the Great Park right now, especially in the Irvine Business District. You have a little bit more things to do. In Lake Forest, it feels a good amount more suburban than Irvine does. So you'll have, very much so where it's like you have the main road and off the side you have McDonald's, grocery store, another food chain. Like, it's very much so suburban. You get your basics and you go home. You can go outside of Lake Forest and get a little bit more of a unique feel, but definitely Irvine has a little bit more of that community feel and things to do. Number three is job access and location. Again, you'll notice a trend. Irvine is going to notch that out. A lot of the major employers are in Irvine. If you live in Lake Forest, there's a good chance that you're going to work in Irvine. However, if you're fine with a little bit of a commute, Lake Forest and Irvine are pretty much adjacent cities. So it might add 15, 20 minutes depending on where you're working and depending on where you're living in Lake Forest. If you're remote, really doesn't matter. But just, big corporation jobs, if you're relocating and working in person, I think Irvine is definitely going to be a little bit better of an option for you because it's all right there. And fourth, you have the parks and outdoor lifestyle. Now, this is going to be very equal, but in different ways. So first, talking about Irvine, the actual city itself won't feel too outdoorsy. There's some places that you have some greenery, but a lot of it will feel a little bit like a concrete jungle. But what Irvine does have is really good, like, big parks. Like, there's Bomber Canyon, Lower Peters Canyon, and those two places are gorgeous. I don't know if they're state parks, but they should be if they're not. Gorgeous parks where you can do hiking, biking, all of the trails. There's, like a little kids campground at Bomber Canyon. So it's really good for like the big parks. Not so great for just the day-to-day outdoorsy feel. Lake Forest definitely outnotches it on the day-to-day outdoorsy feel. It's a little bit more green, a little bit more rolling hills. You have the lake, of course, which is fantastic. And you also have, some pretty good, like, big parks, and you're right next to the Santa Ana mountain range, so you can go up into the mountains. So I would say that Lake Forest notches it out a little bit. I think that Irvine has a little bit of a better, big park feel when you actually go somewhere, but Lake Forest is right there, and it also feels more outdoorsy just in everywhere, and it has a lake. You can't beat having a lake. So I would say, actually, I changed my mind. Lake Forest beats it out just a little bit there. Fifth, and finally, and what you've probably been looking for, is housing variety and affordability. Now, this is where Lake Forest is going to take the cake. What you're going to spend in Irvine will most likely be $200,000 to $300,000 less in Lake Forest. Median price home in Irvine, roughly 1.5 million. Lake Forest, 1.2 to 1.3. So if for you, driving an extra 15, 20 minutes to get where you need to go is worth saving $200,000 to $300,000, Lake Forest is it. Also, the way that I kind of look at it too is Irvine is a lot closer to the beach, so you can get there quicker. But I'm rambling. Back to the idea of affordability. Everything in Irvine is going to be more expensive. The housing, the food, groceries. Lake Forest is basically like the more affordable option of Irvine, but some people like it even better. So it really does kind of notch it out if you're trying to do the ball on the budget feel. And in regards to housing variety, Irvine definitely feels very cookie cutter in a lot of the communities. So if you want a little bit more flair in your housing, then Lake Forest will also notch it up on that. But that's the top 5 biggest differences between Irvine and Lake Forest. Both are absolutely fantastic. I personally live in Irvine, but I work in Lake Forest all the time. I'm always there. And I would definitely love to live there as well. So it's really just up to you. But I think with that basic idea, you'll be able to have a good understanding of what might fit you. But if you're looking to learn a little bit more about one of these specific cities and possibly see some videos of some homes for sale, make sure you reach out to me and I'll get some videos over to you. And make sure you subscribe because I release videos just like this every single Sunday, so you don't want to miss out. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's video. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Talk soon.